I'm Sharon. Welcome to my Music Theory tuition series where I work with you step by step through the ABRSM Discovering Music Theory grades. I'll work through every single exercise and explain everything you need to know. You can access information about the books I have available to help you on my website. Go to sharonbill.com. For advert-free and longer lessons, you can become a patron at patreon.com/SharonBill. If you can give me a like, that would be super, and please do subscribe to my channel to stay updated. You can support this channel by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/SharonBill. Let's continue with the topic of key signatures, moving on to page 37 of the Grade 1 Discovering Music Theory booklet. And at the top of the page we can see these key signatures in action now. So this is G major, and we know this because of this F sharp. If it's a major key, F sharp tells us that it's G major. And that means that throughout this piece of music, regardless of what octave is going on, we always play F sharp every time we see a note F. And that way we're playing in keeping with all of the scale notes. So all of the notes that are common to the scale of G major, which would have F sharp, regardless of which octave you're playing in, we're now jumbling up those notes to make a melody. We've got F sharps as the scale requires, but we've no need to keep adding accidentals all over the place. This key signature here tells us straight away we're in G major. And so we can see that one sharp is always an F sharp. Every good boy deserves football. And you can see that the sharp sign has the line of the note that it relates to, note F in this case, going through the middle of the box of the sharp sign. And so this next melody, we know it's D major because it's got F sharps and C sharps positioned on the lines that represent the notes that are going to be sharpened. It's always at the beginning of a piece of music. We have the clef, then we have the key signature, then we have the time signature. The time signature just appears at the beginning of the music, but the clef and the key signature will be carried over onto every single line of the music for however long the piece of music is. And when a sharp is on a space, in this case here it's a C, you can see that the box of the sharp sign doesn't overlap the lines, and this sort of sits in the space just as the note head would do. And so that means that every single F and C is sharpened regardless of what octave, so that the melody is using all of the notes common to the D major scale, just rearranged to make a more interesting melody. And so we're moving on, and we're going to have a look at which of these key signatures are correct and which are incorrect. And you may want to just pop back to page 36 and just have this to hand until you feel more familiar and you can just work from memory. Because we need to know that the F is positioned on this top line for the treble clef, the F sharp, or the line lower for the bass clef, because in the bass clef that's note F. No other octave, it's always in that place on your key signature. And so you get used to seeing this pattern of notes. And so the position of the sharps and the flats is very, very important. One, so that we're representing the correct note, and also so that we get used to seeing this pattern repeated over and over again. So there comes a point where you just don't even need to count which sharp it is or which flat. You just know straight away. And so I would suggest that you just have a go and tick which box shows the correctly written key signature, and then we'll check through these answers together. And so we're looking for a key signature for D major, which must have two sharps, F sharps and C sharps, but they must be positioned exactly on the correct note lines and on the correct octave, which always shows this key signature. And so this one, although it's two sharps and it is an F sharp and a C sharp, it's incorrect because we do not use the low F, we always use this top F sharp. Here, this looks like it could be correct, and it would be correct if it was in bass clef, but because it's treble clef, That's the wrong sharp. Actually, that's a D sharp and an A sharp, which doesn't represent any major scale. In this next one, this looks more hopeful. So we have the F sharp and the C sharp. Every good boy deserves football, and it's the correct octave. And face, F-A-C-E, that's the correct octave. That is what D major key signature should look like. This one's quite close, however, that's not note F, that's note G, and so we've got a key signature of G sharp and C sharp, which is incorrect. So just that one shows the proper representation of D major scale. So here we know that F major has a key signature of 1 flat, which is a B flat, and that looks at a glance like it could be correct, but actually that's not note B, is it? That's all cows eat, that's note E. E flat is not a key signature of anything. And we have a similar scenario here, because that's a C flat, and there's no C flat on its own in any key signature. It's certainly not in F major. It looks like this one could be correct, however, that would be correct if it was in the treble clef. As it's in the bass clef, actually that's note D. We don't want D flats, we want B flats. And so in the bass clef, good boys, that's the B flat that shows us that we are in F major, so that's the correct one. And now on exercise 4, I do suggest that you have a go at testing yourself. Perhaps take away the reference you were looking at for your key signatures, maybe page 36 you were referring back to. I think I'd just pop that out of the way and test yourself. Use pencil. It doesn't matter if you go wrong. You can always rub it out and try again. You'll learn much more thoroughly by making some mistakes. But it's a good idea to force yourself to try and remember what these key signatures represent. So have a go. It doesn't matter if you get it wrong, and then pop back into the video and we'll check through those answers. So let's check these key signatures. So we have a key signature here of 1 flat. We're in the treble clef, and that's a B flat, but 1 flat is always B flat. So in a sense, you hardly even need to look. 1 flat is always B flat, and that's the scale of F major. You could perhaps think, just to start off, to help you to revise, F for flat. Maybe that would help. Now 2 sharps is always F sharp and C sharp, and we know that 2 sharps, F sharps and C sharps, gives us the scale or the key signature for the key of D major. Interestingly, there are lots and lots of different ways of memorising scales and key signatures. And as you get to learn more and more of the keys, there are different systems, but just out of interest, the very last sharp in a key signature is always the 7th degree of the scale. So if that's a C sharp, if C is the 7th degree of the scale, the next one up is D, and that gives us D major. That's just a little clue for sharp key signatures for the major key. That won't help us here though, will it? Because there are no sharps. However, we know that C major is our scale or key structure that has no sharps or flats. And 1 sharp, now let's test that little theory again, that little formula as it were. If this is a good boys deserve football, this is an F sharp. If F is 7, up 1 step takes us to this note, and that's a note G. F sharp to G, G major. That may help, that may just confuse you. If it confuses you, by all means just forget all about it, and just remember that G major must have a key signature of F sharps. I hope this is helpful to your studies. Please do like and subscribe to stay updated. If you'd like to support this channel, you can buy me a coffee, and for advert-free lessons you can become a patron. Do visit my website where you'll find many resources available to help you. Visit sharonbill.com. Thanks for watching. Bye.